you have to prepare for worst case scenario. Worst case, our guys can't block. Worst case, we can't run. What do we do? If you have enough answers for that worst case scenario, you will survive.
All right, family. So we are back on the Shadow League locker room and going to break down this Rose Bowl domination. Of course, Bryce James' commitment to Arizona and this debate around Saquon Barkley. Plus, we've got a special guest, NFL free agent and defensive powerhouse Stephen Weatherly in the building today. He's not just known for his plays on the field with the Vikings, Panthers, Broncos, and Browns, but also making waves off the field with his passion for music, STEM advocacy, and mentoring the next generation. Stephen, what's good, bro?
How you doing? How you
Man,
doing?
I'm
Glad
blessed,
to be
bro.
here, honestly.
You ready to get it in?
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing all this football kind of makes me miss it now that I'm out after I got my knee replaced. But yeah, these boys out here flying around.
No doubt, bro. Well, listen, man, we're going to start it off with this Rose Bowl recap. The college football playoffs are alive and well, and it looks like this was a great decision in terms of the playoffs. The number 8 Buckeyes, they did their thing in the Rose Bowl, and they dominated. They absolutely dominated number 1 Oregon with the 41-21 victory. It was a statement that shook up the college football playoff landscape. What did Ohio State, what did they execute so well, in your opinion, in this game to pull off such a convincing victory when it was looking a little questionable to some people earlier in the season?
In my opinion, one of the biggest things that Ohio State was able to do versus Oregon was have consistent pressure up front. Being a defensive lineman, outside linebacker, I know how devastating it can be to have unrelenting pressure. You can't make your reads. You don't see things when you're supposed to. The windows that are supposed to be open are closed because you got an edge pressure or worse, a D tackle in your face. And so where Oregon was not able to do that with their defense, Ohio State was. They missed all their important windows, and anyone who's ever played football knows that when an offensive coordinator is behind his play calling sheet, it's not a good day. And so, yeah, they were able to thrive in that. And now, to Oregon's credit, they were able to make some plays off script, which is more of a testament to the quarterback and their resourcefulness. Yeah. At the end of the day, that resourcefulness only took them so far in Ohio State's unrelenting pressure. And Jeremiah Smith, they had no answer for.
Yeah, it felt like it took Oregon a little while. They didn't look like the dominant team that they typically, something just seemed to be off for them. Clearly it was, and they just couldn't get a good rhythm going, right? What do you think Oregon was lacking, when it came to this game, this particular game?
You had to, in my opinion, I think is what every offensive coordinator needs to do. As you come up, it's on the defense to try to stop their offense, which is tough. There's a lot of weapons to worry about. But as an offense, what I would need to do is I need to stay and get points on the board. And the best way I'm going to do that, I'm going to find your 2 to 3 weakest links and put them in an impasse. If he's a D lineman, read option. If he's a D tackle, trap. Right? Linebacker, high-low concepts. If he's a corner and he's worse at zone, put him in a concept. If he's a man-to-man team, run crossers, right? We all know the rubric on how to take advantage of the weakest link. You need to come up with a plan for that. And better yet, make it easier for your quarterback and preferably quick because you're not going to have a lot of time going against the pedigree that you're going against. And so you have to prepare for worst case scenario. Worst case, our guys can't block. Worst case, we can't run. What do we do? If you have enough answers for that worst case scenario, you will survive. It looked like they didn't have any answers for that, and they were just trying to figure it out and hope that one of their star players was going to do what star players do magically.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, man. What you think about Ryan Day's job security?
Honestly, the way the world works and the people, if you can sell it and the next generation buys it, they buy it. And so a bit of accountability and transparency is going to help keep the fire off of you. But at the end of the day, like I said, you should have had these answers in place. That's why you are the man who you are. That's why you're in the position you're in the position. So to come up, it's about hearing what he has to say in response to it. If there's accountability, if there's insight in it, then he's cool. If there's not finger pointing, all that stuff, hey, bro, get out. We got too much at stake here. We have a pedigree, we have a legacy, we have a standard and an expectation of excellence. And finger pointing and not taking accountability is not going to help. So
No.
he's at that point. It's very
Yeah.
much how he handles the next step.
Yeah. Well, the next step, Stephen, looks like it's the Cotton Bowl against Texas, which looks like it's going to be a very formidable opponent on January 10th. What adjustments do you see O-State having to make, to win that type of game?
You have shown one of your best weapons, and of course, a strong run game up to this point. Um, you can choose to highlight it and keep going with a heavy dose of 4. And then once you get them discombobulated, hit them with a strong run game to stretch out the clock and eat it out.
Mm-hmm.
But your opponent should be prepared for that. And so, like, what's the next evolution? What's the next twist?
Yeah.
A lot of play action pass, misdirection. You use them as eye candy. And so I think that would be, in my opinion, the next step. I can't keep something for the next game. I gotta use it all now. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to trust that I can come up with the next evolution at the end of this next game. So
Yeah.
if I was them, I would no hold bars. I would pull out everything I got to this point and have faith that we can come up with the next wrinkle next week if we earn it. So
Yeah.
misdirection, play action pass, use 4 as a distraction, and try to get some solid tight end work in. Personally, that's what I like. Tight ends in the
Yeah.
seam, tight end corner route, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's trying to punch their ticket for the national championship game. I think college football playoffs are looking more exciting. I actually like the way this is shaping up, and it doesn't matter about ranking.
Mhm.
In another matchup that's coming up, Notre Dame and Georgia. Clearly, Notre Dame has had a great season, but if they beat Georgia today in the Sugar Bowl, there will be a black coach in the college football playoff semifinals that's not named Deion Sanders, but he's not getting the same level of recognition in terms of Marcus Freeman, but he's definitely doing a hell of a job in leading these men. But what are your thoughts on him and him receiving that level of recognition, for what he's accomplished this season?
Um, if it's about where you put your energy, and that's about culture. I mean, no knock to Dion and what he's building and how he's going about it, and how Dion is choosing to impact the young men that are trusting him to help them develop not just as a football player for 3 to 4 to 2, however many years they spend at this school, but onward, which is what all these men are considering. But the methods he uses are his, and they work, and they're getting the results. And these dudes are going out, and hopefully after their career, we'll see the kind of men that they turn into, who ones that go to the league and don't. But it's flashier. It garners more attention because that is what Dion's going for. So I see this coach for Notre Dame being more old school, more regimented, being like, when the cameras aren't looking, what does it look like?
Yeah.
Where Dion's like, whether you watching or not watching, it's going to be a show, so you might as well watch. And so to that point, you wouldn't hear about that, but when you look up and you see what methods lead to productive football players and a winning culture in society, that's where that coach should shine. And at that point, if he's not getting the recognition, I have a huge problem with it because
Yeah.
he's clearly doing it consistently. So right now, while the food's cooking, I'm cool that people aren't really like, oh man, like look at that guy over there. But when it's all said and done, and it's pedigree versus pedigree, respect shall be given, and then that's when I'll demand it be given. So
Yeah.
I'm cool that people are recognize it while it's happening. That's cool. We'll collect our flowers at the end when the dust settles.
I like it. He feels like he seems like he has his locker room. I heard him speak. Obviously, we know about the tragedy that took place in New
Mm.
Orleans, and if he does pull it off against UGA, that is going to be very significant. And it looks like Notre Dame is certainly, back in the conversation in a major, major significant way.
Mm.
Um, let's jump into these viral Vikings moments. Obviously, you done your time with the Vikings, and a
Mm.
resurfaced clip has been making the rounds on social media where players were asked which teammate they wouldn't want dating their sister. Now, Stephon Diggs' name came up, and he was overwhelmingly picked. But when he was asked, he pointed the finger at you. Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah,
What was
I
that?
think it
What
was
was going on there?
Um, that's when I learned that when you should just leave the locker room. You know what I'm saying? I was there trying to bond with other teammates, and he got asked a question. He looked over his shoulder and looked at me and said my name. I was like, "What?" And then I watched the video when it airs like a couple days later. I was like, "Oh damn, that's what they were talking about." But yeah, no, it does resurface every year around the same time. And it's cool because I just use it and then pivot it to my foundation when people come to my page and be like, "Yo, did you see this?" And I was like, "Well, did you see what we just did in the community?" So I don't mind, and
Yeah,
I love it because the more that Diggs, I know he's hurt right now with the ACL, but the better he plays, the more he plays, the more notoriety, the more that clip shows up, and the more people come to the Stephen Weatherly page, and I redirect them to the Stephen Weatherly Foundation. So
yeah,
um, it's a cool moment. It's
yeah.
nice because it stays fresh as long as Dig keeps doing what he's doing. I keep getting eyes on my page, so I don't
Right,
mind at this point.
no doubt. But I guess he was taking trolling to the utmost at that point. Um, Let me ask you this, man. LeBron, is in the news. Obviously, his son Bryce committed to Arizona, and he's been heard speaking on whether or not he would continue playing. And he said he could play another 5 to 7 years if he wanted to, but
Mhm.
clarified that he doesn't plan on that. Now, in your opinion, do you think that Bron should stick it out long enough to play potentially with Bryce as well in the NBA after already playing with Bronny, even if it means risking his legacy, or should he step away while he's on top and focus on perhaps mentoring his son?
Um, in my opinion, personally,
Yeah,
get your son in. You know what I'm saying? You are who you are. You've earned the pedigree. You've made the accomplishments, and you're telling me you're in a position where not only can you do something that was monumental in playing basketball with your son at the highest level, you could potentially do it with both sons, right? Like you have that kind of pedigree. People when they drafted Bronny was like, should you? You have the chance to have it happen again, and people will just say, and it's gonna happen because you
yeah,
are who you are and you've done it for so long. Use it, do it, have that real moment, and then show the world why actually it wasn't just a pity pick. They are who they are because they all have separate games. One's more of a defensive powerhouse, stay in front of you, all around guy, and the other one is looking like it's going to be some type of prolific scorer to some
yeah,
degree. And so,
yeah.
he, being both, should definitely, after the second one gets in, mentor both to take them to their highest potential. And then you just have like a ball brother semi situation, and they're just having the time of their lives playing.
Yeah.
If there was a NBA script the same way how there's a NFL script, that's
Hmm.
how I would draft it out.
Okay.
And just have everyone out there trying to prove that the James Sons aren't worth it, and they have the James Sons constantly prove time and time again that they can withstand the pressures of the NBA. So that would be a cool little plot line to follow for the next like 3-4 years after
Yeah.
Bryce gets in.
You see Bryce, what I'm saying, being able to really, do a little bit more perhaps in the NBA.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, and I don't watch basketball like that. I was never coordinated enough. I got cut from my high school team
Yeah.
twice, so like I'm straight on that one. But I live with two dudes who love basketball. And from
Mm.
their breakdowns of it, the same way how I break down NFL clips, the highlights in the house, they do the same thing for basketball. And
Yeah.
apparently, Bryce is a better scorer,
Yeah.
and has a slightly deeper bag in regards to that concept. And if that's true, mixed with, and I think it's the same at the high level for both sports, it's what you know about how the game moves and operates and who mentors you in that. Usually it's a great coach, but they also have the best in that department as their father. So you
Yeah.
have someone who naturally has a bag, has been developing it with someone of that caliber. It's a recipe for success. And now he
Hmm.
has the prototypical height, and
Hmm.
so I don't see that being a problem at all. So I think he has, from what I have been hearing, more than enough to make it. And now it's just about can he show it consistently at the collegiate level to garner that respect. So we'll see how he pans out. But to this
Exciting
point,
times, man. Let's jump into this fair or foul, man, and we're going to be tackling some of the most talked about sports debates, and tell us if you think it's fair or foul, and most importantly, if it's foul, we need to hear your why. Well, we want to hear your why either way. So let's jump into it. Cam Newton spoke on baseball on his 4th and 1 podcast. He called baseball a dying sport, predicted that the WNBA, led by stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, could surpass it in popularity within 20 years. Fair or foul on that, Steven?
Fair. The audience that I'm seeing that loves baseball loves it for why they love it, but the WNBA is getting a lot more attention. I think they're putting more resource towards building that and getting those storylines and feeding into it, which is what we want to see as people. We want to see high level competition with amazing storyline and plots. And I just don't personally see that with baseball. I just see high level competition with Shohei. I just butchered his name, but that amazing 2-way athlete, pitcher and hitter. So it's like I just know who's the best around contract time. I hear some crazy numbers, and that's it. I don't hear storylines. I don't hear plots. I don't hear good versus evil to any degree. Like I don't get that extra caveat.
Okay.
But the WNBA does, so they're going to take over because they're more interesting.
It's more
Facts.
interesting, yeah. I mean, the storyline in baseball are definitely some big contracts. Those numbers are
Ridiculous.
Powerball. Yeah, they Powerball like, right? Next up, Saquon Barkley. All right, off a historic season, becoming the 9th player in the NFL to rush for 2,000 yards. He's sitting out the final game, leaving him short of breaking Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record. Fair or foul on that one? Should Saquon prioritize his health for the playoffs, or should he go for the record and make history?
Fair. Sit out. Well, it depends. Like my motivator was making money. And so winning a Super Bowl will net you more than having a single season rushing record. But what will mean more to you as an individual is clearly that rushing record. Even if you win the Super Bowl, you will love it. But at the same time, you won a Super Bowl and have a rushing record.
Yeah.
Or you get knocked out in the Super Bowl or in the NFC Championship, but you still have a rushing record. So it's like, if you care more about money and team success, I think you would go with sitting out so that you are the best version of you when you get into these win or go home situations. So fair.
Fair, no doubt. Now, as we wrap things up, man, NFL MVP predictions, man. All right, end of the regular season, MVP conversation is heating up. Who do you have as MVP this season?
I like Lamar. I think I heard a very interesting take on TV, and I've always looked at the game kind of like that because like a quarterback that throws 50 touchdowns, but him and his offensive coordinator just drew up everything, and like this team likes cover 3, and you had a bunch of cover 3 beaters, and you hit the guy that's open. Like great, you're smart. That is an accolade, and that's kind of like a joint preparation thing. But when you're in a disadvantaged position and they do an all-out blitz and someone's in your face and you still find a solution to find the first down, that's MVP type of caliber play. And so when things break down and you need to make a play, I value that more. And so like I like that playmaking ability.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. Lamar, he knows how to turn water into wine every time, man, consistently. And,
Yes.
hopefully he'll be acknowledged as well as, continue to lead his team to great heights. He's revolutionized that position, and he's made it more exciting. And he's certainly opening up, the path for a lot of these other guys, you know what I'm saying, right now. Jaden Daniels, I mean, I see a change coming in the league, and I like it,
Yeah. I love it. The change, everyone gets mad that the deep ball is gone, but the mobile quarterback brings back a whole nother caveat. Because when the quarterback gets mobile, someone's got to come into the box. And when someone comes into the box, it's a matter of time before it's a play action, roll out, jump ball situation to my 6'4" receiver, right? So bring back the jump ball through the mobile quarterback. Here.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you.